The gentleman is recognized.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. I have listened with interest to the speakers who preceded me. And the gentleman from Massachusetts is absolutely right. The simple solution is to adopt a uniform national mandatory standard that would give 88% of the American people who regularly are polled say, we would like that information on the label. It will not add cost any more than printing red dye number 2 on the label adds cost to the label. It will add no cost. And it would have a uniform national standard. You wouldn't have to worry about a proliferation of the states, and then you wouldn't have to contradict yourselves as Republicans when every day you're down here screaming about states' rights, and now when states do something you don't like, oh my God, states' rights, out of here. Now, and it's not just the labeling. So yeah, there's 3 blue states that have labeled, and you don't care if you preempt their laws. Got that. But there are a lot of red states and purple states and blue states where the departments of agriculture have recognized the reality of GMO and the potential pollution of conventional non-GMO and organic crops. We had a little incident in Oregon where all our wheat export was stopped because GMO modified wheat was found in the middle of a very large conventional farm. And until they could figure out how it got there and how much pollution there might be or cross-contamination of Oregon's huge wheat exports, they were all stopped because 64 countries around the world require this labeling. And somehow the U.S. conglomerates who make food and export processed food are able to label over there. I have a Hershey's label. I'll show it tomorrow from the EU. Beautiful, got an American flag on it. Made in the USA, contains GMOs. They can do it over there, but they can't do it here because it would just drive the price up stratospherically. That seems odd. In fact, this would help them. If we adopted a national standard here, and the way my bill is written, it would be essentially the same as that required in the European Union and 64 other countries, then they could ship their food to all 50 states, the territories, and 64 countries around the world without having to make any changes. They might save some money then if labels are so expensive. But no, we're going to have a meaningless voluntary label. And even worse, we're going to create a new label. We're going to say that natural means GMO. So when you mate a flounder with a tomato plant, which is what they do, you know, just like hybridizing, flounders, tomato plants, they get together all the time. Then, that's natural. Or when you take a salmon and you introduce an eel gene, they mate crossbreed all the time. Well, no, actually they don't. And the salmon grows twice as fast as normal salmon, then that's natural. You won't be able to say contains GMOs. You can say natural, and natural means contains GMOs, unless they want to voluntarily go on and say, well, under the new natural label, I can have GMOs, but I'm going to put it's natural, but it contains GMOs. This has the prospect of causing tremendous chaos with a new, very confusing label for the American consumers. And back to the cross-contamination. Again, this is not just a blue state issue. It's a red state issue. We have huge export markets, and those 64 countries will not accept products that contain GMOs. So if you strip all the state regulations, how they claim they've fixed the bill, and they don't strip out all the State Department of Agriculture regulations in some 35 states around the country, many of them very red states, to protect conventional and organic.
2 minutes. Gentleman is recognized.
They claim they've fixed it, but the language is still pretty, it's a little bit ambiguous. And many people who read it, experts, say, no, actually, it looks like we're preempting State Department of Agriculture regulations on separation and buffer zones and other things to protect conventional farmers, organic farmers, from the GMOs. So I had a very simple amendment that would just say this does not preempt any State Department of Agriculture which has adopted for the purposes of protecting conventional crops, non-GMO, and organic crops for reasonable buffer zones and other sorts of provisions to prevent that cross-contamination. That's wiped out by this bill, in my opinion, in the opinion of many other experts, and my amendment was not allowed. I'm thankful that I had one amendment allowed, which will say if you have to label, if you are already labeling it in countries all around the world, you got to label it here. That's not, that's good, but preferably we would have uniform labeling of everything in the 50 states and internationally by just requiring that you disclose that it contains GMOs. There was another amendment that will be offered tomorrow, which will do away with this new natural standard, natural meaning mandatorily under federal law contains GMOs. Natural can contain GMOs. I think that's pretty disingenuous, and I'm not sure who slipped that little beauty in there. But you want to talk about confusing consumers? Organic, natural. Whoa, what's the difference between natural and organic? Well, I like natural. I don't know, organic, that sounds kind of complicated. Well, I'll go with natural. Oh, well, that contains GMOs. Well, it doesn't say that. No, it doesn't. It says natural. Natural contains GMOs. So if the gentleman is really concerned about consumer confusion, you should support that amendment tomorrow to do away with